Nyumba Upendo show. That's the House of Love on WNOV 860 AM, 106.5 FM. And if you can't just get us on the radio, you know you can also get us on Facebook and YouTube. I'm here with the all-star team of Jermaine Rideout and Carvey P.
Yes.
I am Kwaku Amawasi and the true star of the show. Dr. Alicia Moultrie.
I get to be the true star. Thank you
star.
so much, Dr. Kwaku. Good morning, Milwaukee, and happy to be here on this wild Wednesday. We started today off a little wild, Dr. Kwaku.
Yeah, I ain't gonna even talk about that, boy. That's some brother-sister stuff for real, Jermaine. Like that bullying type of stuff. Boy.
Oh my goodness, coming from him.
Oh my goodness. But you know what? While we in the spirit of family, though, I got to give shout out to my two cousins, Michelangelo Spivey.
That's right.
And Jerry Bourne just celebrated birthdays.
Yes.
Well, one coming up, the other December 14th, the other December 19th. But also what I like to do is I like to give we always dedicate the show. But before I do that,
I was about to say, what
man,
P&P, bro?
You see how she done got me off my square, Jermaine? She done got me off my square. I done forgot my P and P's, and Lord, no, I needed my prayers for my mama.
Yes, indeed, you needed them.
As in the tradition of our ancestors, it's customary that we get permission from an ancestor, from an elder before we speak. My mother's given us permission.
Yes.
She's also said prayers. And so now we feel comfortable with the show we're going on. I know you had a dedication you wanted to do.
I did. But if I could just add on to her prayers, one thing she did different today, or she said different that I thought was different than any time before, she made mention of praying for the show today. But then she also said, for those that listen to the show after the show was over, I want to pray for those folks that they may receive something. She hadn't did that before, so I thought that was pretty awesome. I just wanted to give, we always give shout out to different folks and, make mention of people that we want to honor, that we want to just like kind of bring up. And we had a loss here in the Milwaukee community. If any of you know Mr. David Anderson, a cousin of the family, I would say he had so many artistic gifts. He did a lot of black and white paintings. He was an artist that you can probably go a lot of different places. As a matter of fact, in the Milwaukee Environmental Sciences School, many pictures are there. And any of my family members, you're going to see, you did. Okay.
All
see,
right,
I didn't know that, Carvey. Okay. When you think about, going to different places, my home, you will see black and white prints, and it was from the late, now great Mr. David Anderson. We will lay him to rest this Saturday at New Hope Missionary Baptist Church. Actually, viewings from 9 to 11. The funeral starts at 11. So just prayers to the family and those that are very close to him.
Yeah, hey, that's where we grew up at.
Yeah, we did.
New Hope Missionary Baptist Church, where the Reverend R.L. Latham was our pastor, 2464 West Atkinson.
Jubilee Choir.
We
what about
Jubilee.
that? We were the Jubilee
Lois.
Fred.
Boy, that's a memory. Yeah, that's the thing. Hey, as we talk about this show, though, we were just talking to Brother Keith, and he was like, hey, if I don't see y'all again before the new year, and we was looking like, man, it's that time of the year. It's like almost time for 2024 to roll out. And for us, Dr. Moultrie, this is our last show because we only once a week.
I know.
We won't be on Christmas.
No.
So this is the last time you will hear us for 2024.
So next year. They won't hear it till next year.
Till next year, Lord willing.
Lord's willing.
And so what we wanted to do is just to do like a year-end review. And so what I said, what better way to do a year-end review? Because, people say, what's wrong with our country? And I said, and I say this in the nicest way I can say, our country is retarded. Our country is sick. No, think about everything that happens. And Jermaine, this is the biggest thing. It's always a new story every 2 weeks. So we forget about what we went through. And it's not till we go into the year-end review where we're like, man, I forgot that happened. I forgot that happened. And what people do if they go through some type of tragedy or some type of thing, they wait for it to blow over for the next big story to come. Mm-hmm. And so I said, what better ancestor than to honor? It's one who we lost this year. And this is a man by the name of Joe Madison. Anybody who listens to radio know the Black Eagle. Joe Madison used to hold it down on Sirius 126 FM or radio on a Sirius radio. This man, one time, he's in the Guinness Book of Records. He was on the radio for 52 hours straight.
No break.
Just talk radio.
Just talk. Whoa.
52 hours.
That's a big difference.
And you know what? He enrolled at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater back in 1967. He graduated from Washington University in St. Louis in 1971. But born and died in D.C. This man, his grandfather was a part, unfortunately, unceremoniously, of that Tuskegee syphilis experiment. So when we talk about his ability to want to be an activist, to write, you understood where that came from. And I say this to Jermaine, because you in this age group too, and all of the men listening. He died at the age of 74 from prostate cancer in 2024, but he was first diagnosed in 2009. So any man, if you're over 45, go and get that prostate checked out. This is something that gets us out. And so what we want to do is we want to remember from those we love and who we care about, to learn from their ways. So to learn from the things that he taught us, but also as far as like just our health, that's a real, real big thing. Hey, Jermaine, you got your music. I just need some playing music from you. I'm about to introduce my next guest. So I want to bring him here, right? So I got to get, the ride out.
Ride out.
Oh, look at him.
Oh, we live, y'all. We live for real, for real.
And so I'm gonna just start saying it, and you just kind of get in where you fit in, because I got, sometimes you're lucky enough to meet a person, and you say, man, I'm so blessed to have met this person. This person who I'm about to introduce is a brother by the name of Barrington Salmon. He's a 40-year veteran in the field. He's born in London, England, but from Jamaican-bred parents. He's known as the liberation journalist. He's active in social justice, civil rights, and politics. I complain about writing this weekly news article in Milwaukee Courier, Quaku's Corner once a week. This man done wrote 15,000 stories in his lifetime. 15,000.
That's a lot. Okay.
And now peep this, because he lives in the DMV area. He was a speechwriter for the mayor for life. That's man Barry. He's a speechwriter for 2 of the superintendents in D.C. But when you think about this man and all of the stuff he did, I can do his claims. But the one thing that makes a journalist is the breadth and the reach that they have with the people. He's lived, visited, studied in Ghana, India, China, the Sudan, Italy, Israel, South Korea, U.S. Virgin Islands, Nepal, Thailand, Hong Kong, St. Lucia, Greece, Zanzibar, El Salvador, Guatemala, and Puerto Rico, just to name a few.
Wow.
So when you think about a person who brings story, I'm not just telling you, but I'm also telling you what I've experienced and what I did. Like I said, he was born in London, but to Jamaican parents. So imagine that upbringing that's coming up, the evolution of him. And he's even written for Muhammad Speaks for the Nation of Islam, where it used to be called, that is called The Final Call now. But when I tell you the breadth and a reach, he's written for Sputnik. He's just written for so many different people within the nation internationally. I got to bring on my brother Barrington Salmon. Barrington, you there for me, man?
Yes, sir.
Hey, I hope I did you right. Tell me something that I missed that the people need to know. Brag on yourself. What did I miss?
No, ain't no reason to brag. If I do brag, I just brag about the fact that I'm still here.
I'll listen to you.
We understand that, particularly now as we go into this new era of ignorance in this country, that anybody who is of a different hue, anybody that has a particular perspectives, they're trying everything that they can to diminish, marginalize. And for the entire time that I've been a journalist, the American Society of News Editors had always said that they wanted to make sure that we had the requisite number of people representing this. African Americans are 13% of the population. They wanted 13%. They've never come close to that. So it's always been an uphill battle, but we always find ways to tell our story, to embrace and hold our narrative. So I'm grateful for the opportunities.
Well, I appreciate your humility, but I'm going to brag on you. And even when I'm bragging, I'm being sincere, because I want to tell you what you've meant to me in my life, just as a person who's kind of coming up in your area, the information you've given me, the stories you shared with me, the knowledge and the uplift. I appreciate your professionalism and your craft. I love how when Barrington does a story, it's not like when you watch Fox or CNBC or MSNBC or CNN, where it's kind of slanted. He gives a story where he allows both party voices to be heard and just does the facts and allow the reader to make an educational. And when we said we were going to do this show, I said I wanted to go kind of after like the Tony Brown crowd. It's that journalism where it's beautiful, it's unapologetically black and strong, but it's full of facts so that you can, make up your own mind. We're not just going to feed you with propaganda and try to make you think like we think, criticize you if you don't, but give you the information. And if given that information, we believe that the listeners are intelligent enough to be able to make that decision. I see you.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited to have you on the line, Dr. Kwaku was so excited to have you on, and I'm reading about you, learning about you as we move forward. I just wanted to start off with just asking you: did you always know you wanted to go into journalism?
Yeah, from about the age of 4,
Oh,
I always fascinated with words, read everything. My father always teased me, said how disgusting I was as a child because of like, Dad, what does that mean? Dad,
mm-hmm.
spelling out things when we traveled, words of signs and stuff. So I
Wow.
always knew. And went to Florida State and Florida A&M.
Mm-hmm.
Got 3 years into a degree in international relations. And I was like, what the hell are you doing?
Mm.
Because as a black man, I'm not going to get real far in the diplomatic circles. So I just stopped and decided that I would go ahead and pursue journalism. So I went to FAMU, did journalism and PR,
Wow.
and then came out of school and went to a newspaper, told them I wanted to write. Worked for free for 3 months to get clips.
Mm.
And that started the ball rolling.
So listen, when we talked about doing this show, we was like, what are some of the things we can talk about? And you have such a wealth and breadth on so many topics. We would say, hey, listen, let's do a year in review. And as I talked about specifically during the introduction, I was like, you know what? We go through so many cycles every year that you forget about some of the things that we went through where you said, oh wow, this is a big one. So what I want to do is I want to start off on one of the maybe the most serious ones. And this really, they say it started October 7, 2023. But we know that the issues with Israel and Palestine specifically, as they try to label it as Hamas, has gone on for much longer. We can date it back to 1948 specifically. But when you think about that, especially spending time in Israel, what do you think about the propaganda of the media, how they try to spin it on Hamas and they justify the killing and the destruction of the people from that one single date on October 7th, where a little less than 1,200 was killed. But up to date now, we have over 45,000 people killed on the Palestine track, 17,000 of them children, 80% of the facilities destroyed, 88% of the schools, 68% of the roads, 17 of 36 hospitals. How do they justify that? You spent time in Israel, and I look at Ta-Nehisi Coates' book, The Message, where he talks about, compares it to the civil rights movements of the 60s. Give me your spin on that as a journalist, what you saw and where you see it going.
What's happening in Israel is colonial settler activity writ large, all financed by the United States. The numbers that you gave about the number of people killed, I looked at some data the other day, and they're saying as many as 200,000 Gazans have been killed, more than the 40,000, because remember, people aren't able to go into the buildings to retrieve their family members.
Yeah.
So you have tens of thousands of bodies under the rubble.
Yeah, they said it's 11,000 missing, but what you're saying is probably even more than that.
A whole lot more than that, because and the thing is that I am sickened by what the media has allowed the US and Israel to do. Most of the time that you see a report from Israel, they have to get permission from Israeli censors of what they can put on the news. So most of what they put is from the Israeli perspective. And as what we need to know is that in 1948, Israel removed 250,000 Palestinians from their land after the British took Palestine and gave it to Israel. So it was a colonial plan that led to this situation. I think just in this year alone, the United States has given like $30 or $40 billion in aid, military aid primarily. the bombs, the 2,000 and the 5,000-pound bombs that are dropping are American. The bullets that they're using are American. The Congress can't say much because they're in Israel's pocket. Cynthia McKinney, who was a congresswoman, in her first term, she talked about the fact that all Congress people have to sign a pledge of support for AIPAC and Israel, or if they, and she did not, and only served one term because no money came to her. Money dried up. And I've talked to people trying to do stories about what's going on in Israel and Gaza and the West Bank, and they have said, I'd love to talk to you, but if I talk to you, my Jewish support is going to dry up.
Yeah, I think about how Mark Lamont Hill did a speech, and he just said, from the river to the sea.
And he was
fired him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We got a congresswoman, Rashida Tlaib, who they censored because she is Palestinian, and when she tried to speak about these as a U.S. citizen and the hypocrisy, they put a gag order on her, and we even see how the UN had said, "Hey, you know what? America, y'all wrong for supporting Israel because Israel is committing a genocide right before our face." And when you see these people all across the world join in, America don't care.
None of them care.
Let me ask you this:
it's America, though.
Do you think it's really about that kind of Ben Gurion canal plan? Where they want to destroy the land so they can break it up and create a new quote unquote Suez Canal that has two-way paneling? Do you think that had something to do with it?
I think that has something to do with it, but if you listen to Netanyahu and the rest of them, they've always had a dream of greater Israel. And if you look at the maps that they have, they're talking about taking parts of Jordan, Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon. And I don't know if most people have paid much attention, but since Assad fell a week ago, Israel's been bombing the military, the Syrian military, their planes, their helicopters, their ports, their military facilities, with America's blessings. So Israel is an instrument for the United States to continue to dominate and control the so-called Middle East.
Biden has said a long time ago, and that President Joe Biden, he said if Israel did not exist, we would need to create an Israel.
Yeah. That's just saying the quiet part out loud.
So let me ask you this, as we kind of talk about this, and I know we're gonna have to transition for a commercial real quick, but I want you to tell us what, and maybe like a little less than a minute if you can, what is it that we as citizens can do to keep our mindset at a level, understanding that a genocide is taking place in a country that our taxes go to and are actually supporting that genocide?
I think we need to more fully embrace BDS, boycotts, diversity, and sanctions. It worked in South Africa. It forced the white minority apartheid government to stop what they were going to fall apart. But the problem that we have is that the people that are representing us in Congress, they don't give a damn about the people. They're only concerned with their donors and other people who support them. So this is, but that's a good thing in my mind, because whatever we do has got to be a grassroots up effort, not top down. And I think that the support that people have had for the young man that killed that insurance executive.
Brother Barrington, I want you to hold on right there. That music is telling us it's time for a break. Okay. And I want you to hold that, because we're going to come back and talk about that shooting as we talk about our year in review. Everybody, you're listening to Nyumba Upendo, the House of Love, on V 860 AM, 106.5 FM. Join us on the other side.
And holiday trips. And holiday toys. holiday bonding. And it all comes together in a Chevrolet.
Find your red tag. Get 1.9% financing on all 2024 Silverado 1500 pickups. Plus, get $3,750 total value on this Silverado when you trade in an eligible vehicle. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
The passing of a loved one is emotional enough without adding the stress of funeral arrangements. By pre-planning, you receive the desires of your heart while taking away the burden from your family. It also saves you money, providing the dignity and respect your memory deserves. And there are times when life ends unexpectedly. Please know that the New Pitts Mortuary is here to lend a helping, caring hand anytime, day or night. We are the New Pitts Mortuary.
And the hard part about that is something keeps coming up every year. You think like, okay, we got enough stories, and then something pops up. Brother Barrington, we were talking about Israel, Palestine, and then we was talking about we need to boycott, we need to do things, and then that slid in to Luigi and the execution, assassination of a CEO from a healthcare organization. What was you trying to say on that when we were going to break?
I was saying that mainstream media and the cops in New York and other law enforcement types are trying to shame the public for saying that they have no sympathy for Brian Thompson, the executive from the healthcare insurance, whatever company. And for me, it's real interesting. One of the things that I know and that I always keep in mind is that words matter. Like we talk about Thompson being assassinated.
Mm-hmm.
But what about all of the young people? What about all of the black people that they kill every day in this country? They don't say they were assassinated.
No.
Right? So words matter. I don't, the thing for me is that we have been sitting down since October of last year and watched live and in living color Israel kill primarily unarmed people every day.
Every day.
And they don't call that assassination. They refuse to call it a genocide. They want to choose the words that most suit them. I think that the people who have expressed maybe joy, I don't know, or satisfaction with the fact that the healthcare dude was killed, I think that there's a groundswell of anger at the healthcare industry and anger generally at the fact that no matter how hard you work, if you're a regular person, the government takes a third of your money every paycheck. You go into the store, everything is more expensive. Everything's going up except your wages and salary. And people are pissed. And people are expressing that.
You know what? It's amazing that you said there's two things that come to my mind. I was listening to the monologue of Chris Rock on Saturday Night Live, and he was like, nobody wants to see a father get killed. He said, but drug dealers get caught and shot all the time. Don't
Yeah.
nobody say nothing. And
Yeah.
so he was equating what the United Healthcare and the system does as far as a robbery and a system. But we have a well-renowned judge that was here, and he said one healthcare executive is shot, and now no president wants to go back to work. They're afraid. He said, how do you think these students feel?
Yeah.
Shooting.
Yes.
And when he said that, I was like, man. And obviously, I'm here in Wisconsin where we just had a major shooting. Unfortunately, one of those school shootings. And I know everybody try to bring it around to the Second Amendment, but I think it goes back to it is a mental health issue, but it's also, I think, the temperament and the tone for this country. We are a bullying country, and where might makes right. And so, how do you equate for what Luigi did with his gun, but also comparing that to the students who, when they are frustrated, they are upset, they go and they take it out on seemingly innocent people, but maybe people who did something to them and they didn't have a way to resolve it. Do you see a connection in that?
Oh, listen. Think about America's history.
Come on.
There were 60 million Native Americans that they killed when they took this country. Then they enslaved millions of Africans to do the work that they were too lazy to do. They have gone all over the world. I saw a report the other day that said that there are between 750 and maybe 900 US military bases in different parts of the world. They are extracting resources. They are forcing people to do what they think is in the quote unquote US national interests. They are bullies, they are criminals, and they are the ones that control the so-called law. This is, listen, the NRA owns the GOP. They have a law on the books that says that the what do you call it? One of them health organizations cannot do research on gun deaths and gun violence. So the numbers that we have come from like the gun violence archives, the Washington Post and other media outlets, not from the CDC. And every time that we have these issues, I thought that after Sandy Hook, when they killed 15, 16 children and the teachers, that this would change the way that America thinks. But this country, I equate with the killing fields, bruh. They do not care. And if they allow their children to be killed, what will they do to us?
I think about what you said, and even when you said the Washington Post, I used to have a lot of respect.
Donahue with an AP Newsman at the Supreme Court.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me, Brother Barrington?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I said, what throws me off is like what you said as far as the reporting. I was saying the Washington Post really, really upset me when they wouldn't endorse Kamala. And not because I was so much for Kamala, but because I could see them bending the knee already to the tyrant in waiting. But when I think about that, it's been 83 school shootings in 2024. And I'm thinking like, I haven't heard about 83 school shootings and everything like that. And so, hey, you know what, Brother Barrington, we have, this is a talk show. So we got callers who calling in.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring in our caller. Caller, you got a question for Brother Barrington or comment?
Yeah, I got both.
All right, let's go with it.
All right, here's the first one. Let me first start out by saying, Brother Barrington, I am a veteran.
Yes, sir.
And I still serve within the national security arena.
Mm-hmm.
So when you said that we're a bully and we force our way onto people because we have military bases around the world, is it not also true, sir, that those military bases are there because countries have to agree for us to be there? That's one. Two, I'm not trying to be funny. This ain't the 1950s. It ain't the 1960s or 70s. I don't see us bullying anybody. In fact, that's been one of our problems. We have went away from what we used to be, and therefore Americans are more in danger now than when I went in the service when communism was at its dying peak. So am I right or wrong, sir?
Sir, I will say this. I have a son in the military who I worry about every day. What I would say is that if you take a minute and look at U.S. foreign policy, say, for example, in Latin and Central and South America, the reason why we have this migrant so-called crisis is because the United States has gone into countries and supported dictators and murderers who claim to be anti-communist or claim to be supporting U.S. policies and issues, and they allow them to do whatever the hell they want.
Well, I guess I'm one of those people who. Sorry, my apology.
No, sorry. Go on, sir.
My time is limited. I guess I'm one of those people who you're not really going to like, because I served with the 7th Special Forces down there in the schools of America, and I'm going to tell you something. Some of the most dangerous people I ever met in my life don't look like me, and I've been to Africa and other places. They look like exactly the people you're talking about, and we didn't export those. They were there, and they were more dangerous to their people at any point in time than the United States could ever be. And for a lot of Americans who are listening, especially Black Americans, the most dangerous people you're going to run across right now are those people coming across those southern borders. These are just actual facts. This is not somebody's imagination. They have no problem cutting up their own people and leaving them in pieces, killing them, and recording it. These are facts. These are not coming from the U.S. So when you're saying we have to be a bully in those parts of the world to make sure people like that don't come here, maybe you should be more thankful, because it helps keep your family, your wife, your ex-wife, or whatever safe. These are actual facts. And I've had these debates before, and I'm going to tell you something. You can look at the foreign policy and say the foreign policy is A, B, and C. And I would tell you any major country on earth has foreign policies that are not necessarily liked around the world. The problem is Americans, and especially Black Americans, are too quick to listen instead of reading.
I will say that I read every day. I am involved. I talk to people every day, and I will tell you that America is a bully. In Guatemala, in El Salvador, in Nicaragua, the United States supported politicians and presidents who murdered people that they said were communist or who were threats to the country. America has been in bed with these people. I don't care what you say. And two things can be true at the same time. America can be trying to protect itself and protect its people, but it also has a history of going into countries and overthrowing governments. And sir, I would suggest that you read the book Confessions of an Economic Hitman by John Perkins. And he talks about the fact that every time that America goes into a country where there's an election, you have the economists that tell them what resources America is demanding. And if the folks say no, then the CIA and the rest of them come in to make sure that that person doesn't stay in office for very long.
Hey, you know what? I love this call. We got another caller on. I appreciate the call.
Thank you for your time.
And I love the civil discourse. I love the civil discourse. Next caller, do you have a question or a comment for Brother Barrington?
I just thank you for taking my call. Assalamu alaikum to you, Brother.
Walaikum salam.
Yes, sir. And same to Brother Barrington.
Yes,
Brother Barrington, you are right in exact. You have hit the nail squarely on its head in your expression of what America has done, continues to do, and what she has established in her laws. The Holy Quran says of the wicked that they frame mischief by law. And just because somebody has signed on a dotted line to go be a killer, not make you right and exact. You signed that contract, so you have to obey those who put you in that position. Mr. Barrington, I applaud what you are doing in your assertions. And when it comes to what Israel has done, it is exactly what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan had said, and it is exactly what one of their generals had stated, that there was they had a idea or a plan to destroy, I think it was 5 or 7 Islamic nations in the East.
Yeah.
Syria, Iran, Iraq, Lebanon, might as well add Palestine in there. They're being wiped off the face of the earth, so that the Caucasoids who happen to be in that part of the world that they are not originally from can build themselves beachfront properties on the sand. But just because Satan looks as though he is winning, he's only playing into the awesome decision making of the Most High Allah. And remember this: whoever you work for, you always reap what you sow. So if you bow to your masters in Washington and you do their bidding, then you will suffer exactly what they're going to suffer. Thank you, Mr. Barrington. Stay strong and keep on keeping on, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Brother Barrington, you know, man, this is why I love you. When we get a chance to just talk offline, we had these conversations, and that's just what we do. You know, it's always about that civil discourse, and I love how you ended that last thing. You know, sometimes like when you the host, you feel like you got to protect your guest in a sense, but I was like, I got to protect Barrington because I know he know. And you said two things can be true at the same time, and this is the one thing I can say. I do appreciate some of the things of America. Sometimes I was hard on America. And then when you go to different places, and you might be able to speak to this even more, there are some things I'm grateful for that I have here. You know, I appreciate the emergency services of the hospital. I do appreciate some of the different infrastructure and things of that nature. But there's also some things where I say, hey, just because we have some of these good things does not mean we don't have some stuff we got to improve greatly. I see Dr. Mutri is hot to get on the mic.
No, not really. I just wanted to agree with you. And I was just listening to the discourse too. And it made me think about, as he talked about reading Glenn Singleton talking about courageous conversations. That's exactly what's happening today. And one of his 4 agreements is talking about being able to expect and accept non-closure. So we had 2 different viewpoints going on today. You were talking about, as the host, wondering what to do. Again, there are going to be times, always times, that you're going to have a conversation, and we've got to be willing to accept and expect the non-closure. So that's all I wanted to add to that.
You know, I think this leads us into the second part that's so clear, because as we talk about this election of 2024, Brother Barrington, I was listening I was listening to this conversation in Delaware, and it was these people where it looked like MAGA country. And they were talking about, we don't want this police chief. It was a black guy. They say he's currently under investigation. Who would hire a police chief that's under investigation? And I'm thinking like, man, here we have a man convicted 34 felonies, indicted on falsifying business records in New York in March of 2023, mishandling national security out in Mar-a-Lago in Florida, and 2 times impeached, and attempted to overturn the U.S. government. And now we have people who can't even get a job because they got to check the box as a felon. We got people who can't vote, in fact, who are in jail for trying to vote because they're a felon. And this man get to run. And then on this, more than 55, or I don't know what the exact number was, I think about 53% of the population literally voted for this man.
No. 49.9%. Get it right.
49. Get those numbers. Get those
49.9%. It wasn't even a majority.
Hey, but if we
willing to rep,
I tell you what, though, Barrington, that means 49.9 was okay with this foolishness.
Yeah.
What kind of country is this?
But listen. I give Taraji P. Henson much credit.
Yes, sir.
Because she came to the BET Awards and she said, do you know what Project 2025 is?
Look it up.
Right.
Most people had never heard what it was. I went to a press conference last summer and met a dude named Alex Aronson of the Court of Accountability. And he was like, do you know what this is? And I was like, well, tell me more. And he ran it down. I did some stories. I've done God knows how many stories about the threat that thing poses. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, the average educational whatever. The sixth grade is the average level that Americans go to. They no longer teach civics. They no longer teach the things, those subjects and those topics that would help ground people, to help them understand what it is this system really is about. And then you have a liar and a con man that goes and tells people that the reason why you don't have a job is because of Kwaku. And the reason why you're not getting a raise is because of Barrington, right? And then say that your life would be different if the good doctor wasn't getting one of your jobs. So people were already willing to accept that. It says everything about what's wrong with this country.
Mm-hmm.
Because
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go on.
No, I was just going to ask you because you said it talks about everything that's wrong with it. And it's like you said, with this sixth grade level, and probably not even that when it comes to civic, like how we vote against our own best interest. So I just wanted, like, quickly, if you could talk about what Project 2025 is going to do to DEI, to the Department of Education, to the crisis when we talk about global warming, because these are specific chapters that's outlined in this 1,000-pound behemoth War and Peace thing that nobody wants to read or think that it can become a real reality.
It's a 920-page document. I read not all, but most of it. It was funded and financed, orchestrated by the Heritage Foundation and Heritage Foundation and the Federalist Society. Some dude named Leonard Leo has orchestrated this. What they plan to do is to eviscerate every civil rights, social gain of Black people, women, gays, anybody who they consider to be non-white,
not the
male Christian. They want to get rid of the Department of Education, supposedly to give it to the states. Trump said that white people have been the victims of reverse racism. And so their plan is to get rid of affirmative action, every civil rights program. And this is not new. They've been doing this. They've captured 6 of the conservatives on the U.S. Supreme Court, where their names were given to Trump by Leonard Leo. Right?
Yeah.
There are more than 100 conservative organizations who have put together about $2 billion, 1.6, 2 billion, something like that, that is used to finance this. This is a conservative control of the U.S. government, and basically the white evangelicals are hoping that Trump will allow them to make this a theocratic state.
Yeah, so when you look at all of the people, I just say the miscreants, the sycophants, the lackeys, the people who are bowing down to kiss the knee of him, everybody's afraid. I look how George Stephanopoulos and ABC done paid a settlement because they were afraid. Now, he did misuse the words, but for them not to even fight it and to kind of use it to talk about what he did as wrong, you hear even some of the people who were like MSNBC, I think it was some people on the Morning Joe went down to Mar-a-Lago talking about, well, we need to talk to him because he's going to be the president. I'm like, he just said he was a con man, so how you going to believe whatever he said? And even the Young Turks, people who were really far left, they're mad at the left. Okay, I understand, but now they're moving towards the right. I'm like, I don't understand why is it that people, it's like a Hitlerian you want to say it's reminiscent of Hitler, of going back where people who you thought were level-headed, even-minded are so afraid that they're bound down to kiss the knee. Why is
it? But Doc, I don't know if you've seen the meme that says, what would you do if you were in Nazi Germany? Everybody that said that, oh, what would you do if you were an enslaved African? All of those big, bold, bad Malcolm X, Rosa Parks people, they ain't nowhere to be found. And all these people that were running around talking about they're going to oppose the right wing, they're nowhere to be found. We are going to find out true, who are the real warriors and the real resistance.
Hey,
because
Barrington, you ever see that movie, I'm Gonna Get You Sucker by
yeah,
Keenan Ivory Wayans? Remember when he was like, hey man, look at all these medals on my jacket. And they started shooting, he started running. He was like, they shooting, they running scared like he didn't know what to do. And then what you just said is like that demonstration of me. Everybody talking all loud and tough and whatnot. But when the shooting come, oh,
they're gone.
you started to see
They're gone.
who really got heart and who don't.
Yeah,
And
and
so
and
go
most
ahead.
most of these people ain't got no heart, bruh.
So listen, as we talk about Trump, let's I'd be remiss not to talk about the other side of that. And we talk about Sister Kamala Harris. And I talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. The good, she had all of these accolades in 4 months. She was able to do some things. The bad, it was like I just thought the campaign was tone deaf to the needs of America. They wanted to go on this Trump stuff that only made common sense, but they didn't talk about the economy. They didn't talk about the things that resonated with, especially those of America who are financially struggling. And then just the ugly part, what does this say to our black queens that when a woman so accomplished, whether you agree exactly with her politics, when you look at like who the two cases was,
like her qualifications,
yeah,
right.
you're like, what does that say to our sisters in general about how America loves you, treats you, or think about you?
But I'll say I'll push back a little bit.
All right.
As a political observer, Vice President Harris ran what I consider to be a pitch perfect campaign in the 3 months that she did. There were two things that I think that she should have done. She should have said something about Gaza and the U.S. pulling back from giving Netanyahu the green light to do whatever he wants. They didn't do that. They lost Michigan because of that. And they lost considerable numbers of young people and Arabs and Muslims because of that. I also believe that she didn't do a good enough job of pulling away from Biden.
Yeah.
She was too loyal to him. And then at the end of the day, bruh, the truth of the matter is she was a black woman, and this country ain't never gonna vote for no black woman.
Yep. I think you hit
right.
that. Yeah,
Hey,
you're right
right?
on.
Hey, listen, we gonna end on that one
It's
just
sad to
for,
say,
for,
but
for the
it's the
for the
truth.
commercial break. We're gonna have you come in. I want you to gather your final words, marching orders, action items for the people to do as we talk about what's going on. Hey, you're listening to Nyumba Upendo with Dr. Alicia Mucci, Kwaku Amoasi, and our guest Barrington Salmon. Hey, come back and join us for the end. WNOV 860 AM 106.5 FM.
Thank you for sticking around. You are listening to Nyumba Upendo, the House of Love, 860 AM, 106.5 FM. I'm one of your hosts, Dr. Alicia Mutri, and I'm here with my brother, Kwaku. And we are joined by Mr. Barrington Salmon. And I'm telling you, if you've been listening, you've been kicking some knowledge, is what that's what I'm going to call it. Definitely kicking some knowledge and sharing some thoughts. As all of our shows, when they go so well and go so fast, it seems like time just goes away so quick. But what we want to make sure we're able to do, Mr. Barrington Solomon, is to make sure that we're able to allow you an opportunity for our listening audience here in Milwaukee and whoever's listening to say, what if you had to give your marching orders to us as a community, especially as a Black community, what would that be? What would that look like?
And Jermaine gonna play you out like we in church.
Okay. I would say that Africans in this country have to decide where we stand.
Come
We
on.
have spent 400 years waiting for white people to do the right thing, and they ain't done it yet. And they won't do it. So I see this as a moment for us to take notes and to process, sort out, and begin to adopt those. There's nothing that we're dealing with that we haven't dealt with before.
Come on.
Right? Community is most important. We got to find ways to build community. We got $1.2 trillion. We shouldn't be asking white boys for anything because we have $1.2 trillion of disposable income. I think that we need to boycott and use our economic clout, company and organization and group that anti-DEI, anti-Black. We have got to stop playing around as individuals. Men need to be men. Women need to be women. We need to take care of each other. White people ain't going to do it for us. We got to do it for ourselves.
You know, I think about that because everything you said reminds me as we come on this holiday season, but the spirits of Kwanzaa. You know, you talk about Umoja. You know, we got to have that unity. And then I ended with Imani, we got to have the faith, but that comes from the knee of the purpose. And then we talk about that second principle, Kujichagulia, that's self-determination. But the fourth principle, or Ujama, where we talk about cooperative economics. And so as we go into this holiday season, I want everybody to delve deep into those Kwanzaa principles and understand why they were created and how those can be actually the parts of our liberation, the parts of our not only restoration of consciousness, but leading us to where we need to be. Because Barrington, I think you hit it on the head. You know, what did Frederick Douglass say? He said, "Struggle conceives nothing without a demand." We can't just ask. We got to go about doing it. And if we're gonna do it, we have to be the hope that we've been looking for. We have to be those people. We can't just say it. We can't just talk about it. We got to be about it.
And can I say one quick thing?
Yes, you can, brother.
The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King in 1967, the book that he wrote, Chaos or Community, said that he feared that they were leading us into a burning building. America has been a burning building. Capitalism is at the end of empire. The question that I ask is, do we want to be a part of this, or do we want to be a part of something?
Hey, I'm gonna leave it with that. There's nothing else to be said. I just want Milwaukee to know, hey, listen, you've been listening to Nyumba Upendo. Want to thank Carvey P, Jermaine Rideout, Dr. Alicia Mutri, and Kwaku Amoasi. We are the Nyumba Upendo Show on WNOV 860 AM, 106.5 FM. Keep your ears listening for the brother Reverend Al Sharpton, keeping it real on WNOV 860 AM.